So that was South Africa done and dusted, and now we head to Morocco, who had a very strong group stage. Opening day draw against Brazil in Boston. They would then, in New York. Sorry, they would then return to Boston or New Scotland, if you want to call it that, and actually beat Scotland. Let's be real. If you saw the videos online, they practically colonized the place.
No, actually, they really colonized it. They really made it New Scotland. They call it even, yeah.
Yeah. So and it genuinely felt like an away game. If you look at the atmosphere, it genuinely felt like a away game for Morocco. So it was a fantastic result, beating Scotland. And then they would finish off with a bit of a scary encounter against Haiti, but they would eventually see them through to the last 32, where, well, I'll just give the spoilers anyway. They beat the Netherlands in Monterrey last night / this morning. So, very strong group stage, second in the group. And what has been your verdict so far of Morocco in this competition?
I actually think Morocco expected what was expected. I think Morocco, from the first game, they gave a really good showing against Brazil. They really gave them a go. Ancelotti came out of the game and he said that, we actually deserved a draw this game. Scotland, of course, they won. It was a nervy second half, but they got the job done. Haiti, Mohamed Wahbi actually made some changes, but eventually it was just too strong for Haiti. Even though Haiti scored actually for me, it's the best goal of the tournament against Morocco. Isidore was a screamer. It was a beautiful goal. But look at Morocco in this World Cup. It's totally different what we saw in terms of the squad, the type of player, even the coach. We could talk about the coach Mohamed Wahbi. Like I said, he's a more tactical aspect, more tactically advanced than Regragui. Regragui is more of a passion manager. He's like he gives you the best out of motivational speaker that brings the best out of the players, quality. But here, Mohamed Wahbi, is a younger squad, to be honest. This is not a squad like which we saw in the last World Cup. This is a very young squad. He even brought in, players like Nassim Yassine from the under-20s and giving him minutes. So you can see that he really trusts on some of the players that he's calling up from the under-20s to the first team. We saw Saibiri. Saibiri actually is one of the most standard players for Morocco in this World Cup, even in this World Cup in general. He's a type of player who's a left winger or attacking midfielder, likes to carry the ball, pushes up the team. But here we saw him, he's playing actually as a striker that plays behind the shoulders defense. It's really causing a lot of problems for the opponents in the tournament. Which runs in behind. We saw the goal against Scotland. How with a matter of just minutes, he got the first goal by that similar style of play. So yeah, Bouadi, one of the most standard players for me actually. Ayoub Badi is a great cook from Morocco. Very good player, very exciting prospect. I think he's gonna be. If Morocco goes far, he's gonna be the player that's gonna win the best young player. He's phenomenal player. He drives the ball out. He's very good. Ball carrier, tackles well. So he does both aspect of a perfect, 8 box-to-box midfielder. So really great player. I think this summer he's not gonna stay in Lille. I think he's gonna be going somewhere. We've seen now. There's rumors going for Arsenal, Barcelona. All the elite clubs are going after him. Also, Enawi is a good midfielder. That duo, Enawi and Bouadi, is actually really complements each other. I think they're very, very good. Although I don't believe that Morocco in this World Cup, defensively, they're more shaky. They're not solid. And that's my worry about Morocco. I think going further this tournament, they really missed the knife. Issa Diop and Shadi Riyad. Shadi Riyad is still young. He's more of an orthodox defender that plays, physical. And Issa Diop is more of that opposite of him, ball carrier, but he's not really. I don't feel confident with him. Sometimes he does some mistakes. He had a lot of criticism going to this tournament because he chose Morocco late and he said previously, I don't want to represent. I feel more French, blah blah blah. But then he even his performances didn't live up to the task. So yesterday he redeemed himself, and I think many Moroccans are not forgiving him. Some of them are actually calling him the Senegalese agent. So you can see. You see the toxicity is going at, but nonetheless, yeah, they're actually calling the Senegalese. You see, that Morocco-Senegal beef is gonna be one for the decades. So yeah, and in general, Morocco expect what they expected. Of course, they finished second in the group because of goal difference, and they could have faced Japan. I think I don't want to say it would have been an easier opponent, but facing the Netherlands is another aspect in Tokozisi. I'm not sure if you know Tokozisi, but Morocco diaspora in the Netherlands is huge. Huge. You can see today that you can see the celebrations in Amsterdam and all the cities of the Netherlands. It was mayhem today morning. No one could go to work. And I have a friend who's actually Moroccan Dutch, and he felt so emotional watching this game. I was like, I want to see you on a Twitch stream watching the game. I want to see your emotion. He's like, no way, you're not gonna see that. We had a good time trolling him, and no, actually, this game was actually, it was very intense. You could see yesterday it was so intense, but Morocco really outclassed them, especially in the second half. Even when Netherlands scored, it was just against the run of play. Even though Morocco came back in the 90th minute, I feel like there's no way Morocco can go out of this tournament just like that. That feels wrong. And Nisa Diop's, just scoring that winner and the equalizer, I felt like it was just the balance. So it was rightly balanced to the game go to extra time, and from there we know Morocco with Yassine Bono, the football scriptures expected it. Yassine Bono was gonna be the hero. So I mean, it was a great way Morocco to get another one against another UEFA team. They did last summer with last World Cup with Portugal, Spain, Croatia. Not Croatia actually. They drew with Croatia, but Portugal, Spain, Belgium, and now they got another one against the Netherlands. So they have a good record. They have a good record against UEFA teams in the World Cup right now. And even previous World Cup, not that they're best sides, but they had good results against teams like Norway, Scotland. You see Morocco when they play. This is what Moroccans say: when they play in the World Cup, they do well. They know how to play against the teams from other continents, and I understand. I get their point of view, and yeah, I think certainly that's because of the diaspora players. The way they're raised and how they're mentally different from the continent itself, and that all plays a factor. But I also think that Morocco FA, Ledja himself, as much as he is a very controversial figure, but he does what he does for the Moroccan FA. He does a lot. That's something we cannot even debate on. And you can see right now, even the appointment of Wahbi, people thought he was an inexperienced coach, etc. But he believed on his local coaches. He believed on the setup, and now we could see. I mean, Morocco right now, into the round of 16, even though against a very tough opponent, but many people even Coleman actually came into the press conference respecting Morocco. He played with a back five. I mean, Holland in the group stage, they played 2 games with a setup of a back 4, and they played against Holland with a back 5. So you can see the amount of respect Morocco has given to themselves in this World Cup. And also in general, I mean, Morocco are 5th ranked best team. They're even ranked higher than Netherlands. That means shows that the Moroccan projected in this, football wise, they're going somewhere very high level. Especially they're aiming for the 2030 World Cup to be a very important factor for them. Like Japan, they have a factor. They want to win the World Cup in 2040, but Morocco's projections even more shorter term. They want to win the World Cup at sustained at 2030 in their own home ground. So yeah, I think Morocco yesterday, overall, this World Cup in progress, they did what they expected. And what many people thought of it, that they're gonna go, out of the group stage, and also qualify from the group stage into the next round, and especially go forward in the knockout round. So yeah, I mean, that's Morocco. We hope to see also in the next round against Canada, which is gonna be a tough game, but. I mean, easier than there's no easy games, but it's a less burden than facing against Netherlands. I mean, no disrespect to Jesse Marsh, but I mean Morocco on quality on paper, much better side. So I think Morocco right now, they can shrug off their shoulder that they knocked out a very tough team, and yeah, I think the ceiling is high for this team.
And the one thing I've also noticed with Morocco is I'm starting to see a more sense of I don't know if this is me, but I'm picking up a sense of dynamism in this Moroccan side in attack. Because if you remember 2022 Regragui's time, as good as a defensive side Morocco were in terms of stability, defensive solidity, they up front they lacked a bit of dynamism up front. It was like give it to En-Nesyri and pray. I don't know. That's some of the things I caught from Morocco. Like just give it to En-Nesyri and pray, or lob it up front. Rahimi's up there. He'll give us something. But now I'm seeing they're a lot more dynamic. I mean, I saw that against Brazil. They were a lot more dynamic. Scotland was one of those sort of like, hard graft games, like you mentioned, very hard graft, but they were able to have that quality. It was always going to hinge on a moment of quality. The quality fell for them. And not only that, but there was one of those hard grafts and they got over the line. I think against Haiti, they may, I think, just took the gas off the pedal. They were like, we're kind of already through, so let's just take the gas off the pedal a little, and they almost got caught out, but thankfully they made it out alive. They made it out fine. And against the Netherlands, I mean, they were just by far the better side. I mean, Ronald Koeman, you know, there's always been this problem with Ronald Koeman that he's been very, very defensive, very like, and especially after taking the lead, he just sat back and defended, and it's just you don't win knockout games that way. You don't win games that way. And for a team like the Netherlands that has a history of being very innovative up front, for them to play that way was just so baffling. And you could say they rightly got punished, you know. So and now, like you said, they face Canada. The game won't be in Canada, I don't think. I think the game, I don't know where the game's going to be played, but it's not going to be in Canada. Houston. Oh yeah, okay. NRG Stadium. So already there, you know, they're definitely going to back themselves. Yes, Canada have done a great job to get here, but Morocco will definitely back themselves to progress, and they know they're a better side. They know that they're on paper a better side than South Africa. So surely I feel Canada will have to do a lot more to beat Morocco, and I feel that they won't do enough to get past this Moroccan side. And like I said, if they make the quarterfinals again, I mean, one will be a great achievement for Africa, another World Cup quarterfinal. And at this point, knowing that there's a lot of survivors from 2022 with a seemingly better coach, sky's the limits. I mean, the sky is literally the limits. And on top of that, their coach is a world champion, albeit at under 20s, but he's a world champion. He knows how to win a World Cup. So, hey, the sky is absolutely the limit for Morocco now. I mean, they'll believe that they can go all the way this time around.
You know, because you mentioned that in last World Cup, Morocco were playing, more like give it to Nasiri and Inshallah, like that. You know that phrase, right? So here you see that Wahbi is a totally different mindset, totally different profile from Regragui, and I can see why Morocco were kind of like fed up with Regragui prior to the AFCON as well, and it was eventually gonna end. You can see he's more of like, he's just a person that's gonna motivate his player. He's not. I respect Regragui. He won without the Champions League and everything, but for a side like Morocco, with that immense talent, immense profile names, big stars playing in Man United, Real Betis, Barcelona, etc., all in the top 5 leagues. You really need a manager that can get the best out of them. And as much as Regragui, I like him, he didn't really reach that ceiling yet for them. And you could see that team at times, like when we saw in the AFCON, teams like that sit behind the ball and just hope like we're gonna close down the channels. You see Regragui struggle, and when the AFCON, it was evident. So Wahbi is a different guy. Wahbi is someone who's, he was raised, he was coached, in under 14s, all the ranks until the under 23s. So, and even coached Belgium under 20s as well. So you could see that he's someone that, he's more football oriented, more tactically, like more on the tactical aspect. And you can see also, I feel like Morocco in this World Cup are the most team that relies on data, like like Brighton, for example. You can see they're very clearly focusing on data. Like you can see players like they know which player is not in shape, they'll take him off. You can see one player that is jaded or net lag or like just knackered, they'll take him off. You can see a player that's not giving the best out of it, they'll take him off. So I realized most of his substitutions, even in the games, were all kind of correct and on spot. I mean, I'll give you an example as well. Also, Wahbi's tactical, cleverness. He played yesterday, Mazraoui. He started as a left back, right? He started actually as a left back in general. But when Shadriel came off, he started to put in Mazraoui as a centre back. Even though he doesn't play as a back four, Mazraoui, but he plays as a back in a back three with United as a centre back. And I was worried that it might actually, I don't feel like he won't be comfortable with it. But the way he actually played him as a centre back yesterday was more of like a stopper. Like he will go out of his position so he can collect the, try to tackle early. And that's something which is very good at Mazraoui. He's very good at tackling balls, in duels. So when I saw that in that tactical aspect, I was like, this guy's a genius. I know it's for viewers listening to this could be kind of boring or maybe so sophisticated, but I'm just saying that in a general sense of you, that Mohamed Wahbi is really tactical in detail. And for a young coach as well, he's just like maybe mid-40s or something, so that speaks a lot. So Mohamed Wahbi, right now, I mean, like you said, they play more dynamic football. But I do agree with you. When they go forward, they try to do, sling, they slick up passes 1-2, and then, this different pattern of play, try to get, players, move out of position. Then you see a runner that's from Hakimi or Mazraoui, or you see someone that's coming short, like, what's his name? Onahi. So you see Ibrahim as well. So even though Ibrahim didn't have the best of tournament, to be honest, I have to say, but Ibrahim was really, really having a bad tournament. He's having a stinker, to be fair. Seeing the games against Scotland, he really didn't. Even yesterday, he wasn't that good. But I mean, in general, as a team, they know what they know each other. They kind of complement each other. They have the team chemistry. So yeah, I feel like Morocco is under this coach. Especially that for the future I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to put too much pressure on Morocco right now. I feel like it's a young squad. So young squad means that they'll take time to learn. They're gaining some experience in this squad, like Talbi, Shadi Riyad, and even Brahimi Diaz himself. I mean, he's new to the Moroccan core setup. Bouadi, Ainawi, all these players, they're all built for the 2030. I can see that this team looks very scary for the future, especially for the next AFCONs. People are saying like, oh, Morocco last AFCON, this is the end of the year, they're not going to win another AFCON if it's in their home ground. No, I actually think that Morocco, with the project they have, even if I feel like Morocco, I feel like if Morocco loses that case with Senegal, I don't think Morocco FA in general will feel, pissed off about it. They'll be like, okay, no problem, we'll get back there again, we'll win it, we believe in ourselves. I feel that there's the mentality within Lakshya and the football federation as a whole. So this squad that under Mohamed Wahabi, I believe that it's really built for the future. I don't want to say for the present for this World Cup, because you never know. I think maybe they could do something, but it's just me that I feel like they're still inexperienced a little bit when it comes to elite teams like France, Spain. I feel like they're still not there yet, but you can see they're building something scary for the future. So yeah, that's something about Mohamed Wahabi I just wanted to mention about.
Yeah, and just as a closing comment, like you were saying with Morocco, the funny part is when I made my video about the Cup of Nations final, I mentioned Morocco so badly needed to win that Cup of Nations at home because, now the tournament sort of is out of their own hands. They have to win it in a very unfavorable environment, and this generation isn't getting any younger. But now when you see, now the new guys coming in, a new coach coming in, maybe one day, nothing lasts forever. I mean, PSG eventually won the Champions League. Tottenham Hotspur eventually won a trophy. Any Mamelodi Sundowns, anything is, one day is one day, and their time will come. Sometimes you have to wait, but your time will come. That'll be my closing on Morocco, and now onto another African side that progressed was Group E. So Ivory Coast for the first time progressed to the knockout phase. They defeated Ecuador 1-0 in Philadelphia. Were slight losers to Germany in Toronto, but eventually would get 3 points against Curacao and would progress to the last 32. They played Norway today, and sadly the campaign ends here thanks to a last minute goal from Erling Haaland. Who else? But it's still a very strong tournament from Ivory Coast, making it to the knockout phase for the first time. And they were set up so nicely by that victory against Ecuador. It was a match between the two most stubborn defenses in qualifying around the world, and they came out on top thanks to a last minute goal. Sadly, it'd be a last minute goal that sees them out here, but a very strong performance from the Elephants at this World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable. In Togazi, I'm really actually mixed feeling with today because I really do actually with today's result. I mean today, I really feel disappointed. I really feel so disappointed. I had really high expectations. But let's talk about the group stage. Yeah, I mean, I think the first game against Ecuador really paved the way for them to go, to progress well in this group stage. I think that win against Ecuador was so important. Oh my God, that game was actually intense in Togozi. The atmosphere, you feel like it was in Quito or something. Ecuadorian fans were cheering behind the team non-stop, and oh man, that game was really tough. It was a tough battle. Proper World Cup game, you could say.
Yes.
I mean, both teams were set up both teams were proper, they set up very, defensively solid. Like you said, it was a battle of who had the better defense in the region and, South America, Africa Cup. And, that game I thought that game was going to end in a draw. I predicted it would be a draw. But then Amad Diallo was a moment of magic. And you could see that Amad Diallo is by far the star player of Ivory Coast. He really delivers. Yes, they have Pepe, they have some good names, but Amad Diallo is another level. You can see he really is another level. And we saw it in AFCON as well. And just to come off the bench to score that winner, Tokosi, we have to talk about Emirates Faye. I really think this guy. I really have a feeling this guy isn't good enough for this setup. I really think he's a plumber. I don't know, but that AFCON winner he just has on his shoulder just makes it that people just gonna remember him for that. But for me, he really disappointed for me in this World Cup, especially the game against Germany. All right, and even the game against Curacao. I mean, they won 2-0, but he started with the first 11. You could have really just shuffled a bit with the lineup, and you could have won comfortably. I feel like today's game. You could see today's game against Norway. They lacked urgency. They really lacked energy. The midfield was really slow and got outrun by Norway's midfield. They're really solid midfield in Norway. Chris Olai, which I really liked him in the group stage, was very good against Germany. Was very good against Ecuador. He had a good tournament as well, to be honest. I think the player that will go Europe. Today he was actually nowhere to be seen, and Norway kind of shut him off. And overall, the team looked out of spirit. I feel like Emirates Faye didn't know what he wanted out of this game. Yes, they scored from the equalizer, but even after the equalizer, Norway was the one who was on the front foot. They actually pressured and they went forward and they had more of the ball. And I didn't like that approach. I really felt like Norway was going to score. And Norway as a team, they might not play beautiful football, but they're very effective. I mean, the second goal you could see, it was just like Oscar Bob was trying to drag 3 defenders so he can open space for Haaland, and it worked. It was a very a slow pass. It was a very slow pass. Went through all 3 defenders, and even the timing of Haaland's shot, I feel that the keeper should have done better. I just didn't like the goal how it's considered. It was really disappointing. I know we're talking more about Norway. I just feel like this game emphasizes a lot about how Ivory Coast could have gone far. I really believe Ivory Coast could have gone today, qualified, and played against Brazil. And I really wanted that showdown, to be honest. And I don't feel like Emirates Faye is really the manager to take Ivory Coast to another level. Because look, we talked about in AFCON when they faced against Egypt, that was like the turning point that Emirates Faye, is he a good coach or not? Today, I felt like this was another story of, is Emirates Faye really that coach for him to be guiding Ivory Coast for the next competitions? Because to be honest, Ivory Coast really have a good squad. They really have a good squad. You can see their defense. You can see the midfield. They're coming up. Like some players that are not even called up. They're really good. Like Ahmed Diomandi in Rangers, Chris Olai, another player you can build for the future. Attack, we don't need to talk. Diomandi, Amad Diallo. They really have a good squad. It's just not right mind. I mean, it's not the right coach. I mean, look, yes, they did in the group stage. That's fair. I have to give it fair. I mean, in a 3-team tournament, 3 teams that qualify, I'll give you. Even especially you qualify the second best. But the game against Germany, I think it's not his fault. I just feel like players like Simon Adingra should have killed the game off, and in some moments, players also like Simon Adingra should have been called up for the World Cup. I don't think so, because from what I've seen, he wasn't really starting for Sunderland. He didn't really have a good tournament. After that tournament in AFCON in the Ivory Coast, he really didn't shine like what he expected, especially with Brighton. So maybe there's some squad selections, but at the end of the day, that's something we shouldn't be talking about. It's just over already. But I do believe that Ivory Coast as a team, they really have a high ceiling. It's just with the right coach that they could have gone more further. But still, I mean, is Ivory Coast achievement just to qualify from the group stage and just end it from here? I don't think so. I believe Ivorians are really passionate that they believe that this team could have gone more further. I mean, it's just the way it ended just really doesn't. It's a sour. It just is a sour note for me, to be honest. I don't know what's your view about it, Tokozizi.
They called me a madman. Listen, I have nothing. Listen, I have nothing against MS Faye at all. I mean, but I always felt in the Cup of, people put too much stock in that Cup of Nations win, and people look at MS Faye and Ivory Coast and were like, they won the Cup of Nations. Yeah, they did, but if you look at it, they got through that Cup of Nations win through the power of friendship and plot armor. Like this was some anime. I mean, again, he's not a bad coach. He's not necessarily a bad coach, but he's just not someone who you look at and be like, this is my guy who's going to lead me to glory. Remember, he failed with the under-23s. and didn't take them to the Olympics. I don't know which Olympics. I don't know if it was Tokyo 20. Yeah, he failed at Tokyo 2020. So, and people.
Oh really? Wait a minute. So it was actually him that actually got knocked out against Niger. Because I remember that pathway because we were supposed to play against one of the winners against Ivory Coast and Niger. So he actually got knocked out from Niger. We played against Niger, and Niger actually went to the African. And so that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, MS Fire coached. I think he coached in the Olympics. He was the coach of the under 23s, which was supposed to go to the Olympics. I know he went to Tokyo 2020. They missed Paris 24, but I think he already left by that. I think the Olympics he did miss. Yeah, because 2016 was Rio. I don't think they qualified for that, but he wasn't part of the system then. It was Tokyo 2020. Okay, yes, he made Tokyo 2020, but I think they got grouped in. So it him.
No, actually, it was easy. They actually made it to round of 16 and they lost to Brazil. I remember.
Oh,
they lost to Brazil.
Yeah. But he didn't really have. He wasn't really. He didn't have a glowing, should I say, a glittering career as the U20s, as the coach of the the Ivory Coast Olympic team. So it really was. Many people put too much stock in that Cup of Nations win. He's done great since qualified them for the World Cup, but he never looked like he was kind of like someone who's always living on past glories or sort of hanging on to the past glories. And now he's had a full sort of cycle, a full Cup of Nations qualifiers and tournament proper, a full World Cup cycle of his own. He's done great, but I feel that Ivory Coast will probably need more or need better. He's already done great. He's already done great, but I feel that they'll need to move on and do more. He's not a bad coach, but he's just a bit too much of a vibes merchant, if you know what I mean. He's someone who coaches through. He doesn't really coach through tactics. You don't need tactics in international football, but he's someone who's just not a great tactical coach, if that makes any sense. He's just a great vibes merchant. He's kind of like Rick Wagner.
Can I add?
Yeah, sure.
Can I add? He's also he's like Roland. He's very emotionally, attached.
Yes.
Very emotional as well.
Yes. Yes, and that's the problem I've had. That's why I feel. He's had he's done a great job, but I feel that he needs. Ivory Coast will probably need a new person in the dugout if they want to achieve, especially with the Cup of Nations coming in a few months. The qualifiers are what, September? The qualifiers are very short this time. Yeah, so but still a very strong and historic showing from the Ivory Coast. And now to go to a team that won't be remembering this tournament quite fondly, and that will be Tunisia. I'm trying to be serious here, but Tunisia, bottom of the group, laid an egg, 3 defeats from 3, 5-1 defeat to Sweden, 4-0 to Japan, 3-1 to the Netherlands. A coaching change. Everything that could go wrong for Tunisia in this tournament went wrong. I think the only thing that was missing was them being victims of a natural disaster. I think England, who've also had a pretty bad time at this tournament, mainly for stuff that's going on off the pitch, they can look at Tunisia and be like, well, at least we're still in the World Cup and we won't have to face the fury of our nation when we go home. I would ask what went wrong for Tunisia, but then we'd be here all night. But we have to start somewhere, so here we go. What went wrong for Tunisia?
Personally, I think we all expected Tunisia to be, grouped in this World Cup. We all expected, but not in this manner, to be honest. That was just embarrassing. I think that's the second worst African participant in a World Cup after Zaire 1974. To be honest, it's the worst, to be honest. Who remembers 1974? This is the worst by far. Coaching change, this is a World Cup, and then bringing Hervé Renard just as an emergency, just to soothe the Tunisian fans, just as if okay, don't worry, we're gonna solve this. Look, it was, even with Hervé Renard coming in charge, for the second game, the damage was done. He doesn't have Prophet Moses magic to do anything. He's just, I don't know what did Tunisia think of just appointing someone like him. It's gonna damage his coaching. Even I remember after the game against Sweden, Ali Abdi, the captain of Tunisia, he said in a presser, he's like, I'm really sorry that we have a coach like him. that's coaching us saying he's getting results like this. Can you imagine a player saying that's something for his coach? I mean, that's really something deep. I mean, he's really saying that we are just we're crap. He's just saying we're crap. And to be honest, he even went on a rant. He was saying like, how can we come to a World Cup trying to change it, bringing a new coach? He's talking about Sabri Lamouchi actually, bringing a new coach just prior to the World Cup, and then changing the whole squad, bringing in young players, and then like teams like Sweden, Japan have coaches for 8 years talking about Moriyasu basically, and then we want us to compete with them in the group stage. So he was really just complaining about Tunisian football system in a nutshell. And I believe that Tunisian football national team in this World Cup is much more deeper than the national team. It's the football is up there, and the cracking was on the wall whenever that Tunisian team was performing. I feel like that last AFCON was a cracking point that there's something gonna happen in that World Cup that's not gonna be good, and it happened. It showed. People believe that Tunisia team is a very good team. It's an elite one team. Actually, there's a lot of circumstance that puts this team, doing well, and we don't have time for that. But we talk about this World Cup. Look, they really performed. I mean, miserably, and the way they played even prior to the friendlies, it looked like there was a signal that this team was not doing well because they lost to Belgium 5-0. Even I remember the president of Tunisia, he was like, don't worry, it's all friendlies, you're gonna perform well in the World Cup, and we're still backing you and support you. And then when time came when they lost to Sweden in the first game 5-1, and then to Japan 4-0, the Tunisia president actually made a decree to dissolve the football association. Actually, dissolve some members of the football association. In general, he was trying to go too far. Then people tell us like, listen, this is too reactionary. We have to set this back a bit, set the tone down. We'll try to suspend some people in the football association. We'll try to clean up everything, and there is gonna be some cleanup, to be honest, because some people. I mean, Lutfi from his ex-host I was looking at, he really had a go on some particular person, and I do agree with him. It's Jaziri. Jaziri is a football legend who played for Tunisia, won the AFCON 2004, but he, in particular, really did some horrible choices. One of them was Sabri Lamouchi. Sabri Lamouchi, for me, isn't really a top coach. Yes, he coached Ivory Coast in 2014, and look what a coincidence. When Lamouchi left Ivory Coast, Ivory came in. So, I mean, and then Ivory had to come in again to clean his mess, but actually this time it didn't work. So his appointment was actually kind of a question mark, to be honest. Would I say Tunisia needed a change of coach? Yes, I do believe Sami Trabilsi didn't work well with them in the AFCON, even in the Arab Cup. But the timing was just too late. They had to they hired him in March, and that's a very difficult time. World Cup was in 2 months or 3 months, so you don't really have enough time. They should have done it earlier. Then the major shift into the squad. I think Tunisia called in players which are too young. The occasion is too big. But then even players like Sakhiri, which should have been, he's the captain of the national team, was horrendous, and he didn't look like he cared. He couldn't care less. I could tell. The way he was playing, he wasn't really up for it. And Tunisia just looked lackluster. They really didn't care about going to this World Cup. And that's really strange about Tunisia, because Tunisia, they really love World Cup. They're a team that qualifies 7 times to the World Cup. Yes, they don't have the best of performances since 1978, but when they go to the World Cup, they really try to give a good representation, even if they play in tough groups. So for this one, this is one of the worst Tunisian sides I've seen. Probably even worse in a group tournament, like in a tournament I'm talking in general. So I mean, I don't think Hervé Renard will stay. I think Hervé Renard cannot. I mean, he can't build a team like this for the future. I don't think Hervé Renard will stay there. I think he just came in for 2 games, and I think he will leave. He will resign. He's mentioned. I think he will resign by himself, because the building to rebuild this Tunisian team, it's not based on players or squad. It's up there, and I just felt like the way Tunisia went to this World Cup, I felt it was very distressing. How that friendlies they played against Belgium, even the win against Haiti 1-0, they weren't really convincing. I watched most of Tunisia's friendlies. They weren't really giving me good hope, and I felt like the World Cup was actually really tough group. Even it was eventually the game against. I remember when they played against Sweden. I mean, this is not even a good Swedish side, and they're playing against France right now. And the way they conceded those 2 goals, I was like, no way they're gonna have a chance against Japan, who are very efficient against teams which expose defenses like Tunisia, or the Dutch even as well. So it was just catastrophic by a large. And people now look. Tunisians themselves feel like they wish they were in the World Cup. And many of us, even African football fans, feel like, do Tunisia really deserve it? I mean, look, they qualified by merit. They deserve it, they serve. But people feel like, in the future, does Tunisia really represent a good image for African football going to the World Cup? People feel like, does Tunisia really deserve to be as a top one team? Do Tunisia really deserve to be that title, like called as an African high giant? So there's a lot of question now looking at Tunisia in a different perspective, and I do believe that, yeah, Tunisia as a team, they're really mid-tier, to be honest. And even last AFCON, we saw how they eventually got knocked out against Mali, and how they played against Nigeria. Just got, they were really tremendous in the AFCON. But this World Cup really gave the true image of the Tunisian national team.
And just as you were saying, I mean, before we just want to put this in just before we get cut off. The thing with Tunisia is it's also just the club game, like just the whole structure of Tunisian football just looks broken. And even if you look at the clubs, look at Esperance in the Champions League, couldn't beat Stade Malien home and away, finished second in a group that they could have, I'm not gonna say easily, but really could have won. Beat Al Ahly in Cairo, that's great, but it's an Al Ahly team that's deteriorating. And when they run into a team of actual quality, a team of actual, at their peak, Sundowns, they got beat. And it really just shows. I mean, they just did all of it for nothing. In my point of view, they sacked Lamouchi for absolutely no reason, because, I mean, what they should have done was kept Lamouchi. What happens at the World Cup happens, and then we get rid of him and we start afresh for the Cup of Nations qualifying. But then you sack him, you bring Hervé Renard in, you pay Lamouchi out because you fired him, you pay Trabelsi out because you fired him. Now you bring Renard in, he's shown no commitment that he's going to stay behind after the World Cup, so you have to pay him for the games. And now, knowing that apparently, from if you've heard, if you believe everything you read, that the FTF are cash strapped, where are you going to get a new manager from for the Cup of Nations qualifying? Where are you going to get the money from? So Tunisia find itself with a really tattered reputation, a squad that really isn't top quality, a humiliating World Cup experience, and now they have to qualify for a Cup of Nations. And the only reason we keep Tunisia in that sort of top brackets of African sides is because they're constantly qualified for Cup of Nations. I mean, they haven't missed a Cup of Nations, I think, since the 90s, right? They've qualified, which is a tournament record. They've been to every Cup of Nations, I think, since reaching the final in 96. They've been to or 94. I think the last time they missed a Cup of Nations was 92. So they've been to every Cup of Nations since. And that's consistency, because a lot of teams have missed. A lot of the sort of bigger sides have all missed Cup of Nations. Nigeria have missed a few. Cameroon have missed a few. Ivory Coast have missed a few. Ghana missed the last one. Egypt have missed a few. Morocco have missed a few. Algeria have missed a few. Tunisia are the only ones who are still at the Cup of Nations. That's the only reason why we sort of still keep them at that top table of African football giants. But now I feel the real panic will set in the day Tunisia failed to qualify for the Cup of Nations. That's when we're in deep trouble now. We knew we were in trouble, but now we've clearly hit rock bottom, because the one thing they hold on to, which is consistency at the Cup of Nations. We're always at the Cup of Nations. The day that goes away is when we've hit rock bottom, and the end of days have come. The end of the world has come for Tunisia. Seeing that we're going to get cut off, we're going to take a short little break, and we'll start again with the other teams. We'll start next with Egypt's performance, but we'll take a short break before we continue there. Sure, we'll meet up again in a few moments, right?
Yes.
No problem.